1 emergency, Alberta 434.
Yeah, somebody just attacked my roommate. We heard screaming. Please get a cop here.
Okay. This is who's screaming inside?
Amy Harwick.
They're able to see Amy Harwick's body laying on the concrete right below her balcony.
Do you know if there's anybody else inside the house?
I don't. Oh my God. What happened to you?
Anyone else inside? This is LAPD. Come out with your hands up. Okay, they're going to take her to Cedars.
Worked on her at the hospital and pronounced her dead there.
Hi, this is Dr. Amy Harwick.
Her life's purpose was to help people.
What does it mean to be a sex therapist?
So I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist.
She had a lot of friends that were very, very shaken and upset, saddened by this, including Drew Carey.
I'd like to introduce you to my brand new lovely fiance, Amy. How you doing, Amy?
Even though we broke up the engagement, I was still so in love with her, and she loved me back. A beautiful person who didn't deserve to die like she did.
Your wife is in a bar. You said she's unresponsive.
This is what he's going to tell you.
How to get out of that situation.
And I grabbed the gun.
Trying to find the first place to put a body.
No, sir.
The only thing they could do was kill him.
You want to say anything?
We, the jury, and to find the defendant.
I am a burlesque dancer and producer here in Los Angeles. My show, it's called Beauty of Burlesque.
It was Valentine's Day, and in the audience that night was a good friend of the burlesque dancer, Amy Harwick.
We called it a Galentine's Day for them. It was her and her two best friends. I put her front and center so that they could have a great view of the show. It was special having her there. They were having a blast. They were taking pictures and laughing and celebrating. We were all having such a great time.
Sometime after midnight, Amy Harwick headed home to the place in Hollywood Hills she shared with a roommate.
She does not know what's waiting for her back at home.
1 emergency, Alberta 434.
Yeah, somebody just attacked my roommate. We're at 2086 Mound Street. Find anything.
Okay, how was he assaulted? What happened?
It's a C. I don't know. I was downstairs. I heard screaming. Please get a cop here.
Okay, this is who's screaming inside?
I can't even think right now. Amy Harwick.
Who is she to you, sir?
She's my roommate.
Okay. Is she screaming for help?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see anything?
No.
Okay, so
no,
what
I
did you hear?
heard her screaming, and I heard her being...
All right, so I'm going to send out as somebody screaming, okay, since you didn't see anything. You don't know if she's being attacked, you're not sure, correct?
Yes, I know she's being attacked. I heard her got thrown to the ground.
Hollywood Unit 6848, 6848, screaming woman, 2086 Mount Street, 2086 Mount Street, code 3, incident 247, RD626.
Should be coming up. This is it. And then Mound is going to be on the first right.
On the first right?
Yep.
All right, and your name?
Michael Herman.
All right, and where are you going to be so you can direct me?
I'm right out front. I'm right out front.
This is in front?
2086. 2086. I think it's going to be up here. Yeah, there. Hey, sir.
Hi.
How can I help you?
My roommate was attacked. I know it. I heard it. She's screaming. She was thrown to the ground. I couldn't find my phone. I couldn't find anything.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so you have access to here?
No.
Is there anybody else inside the house?
My roommate.
Just your roommate by yourself?
Yes.
You didn't check on her?
Dude, I heard screaming. I don't know if that guy had a gun or a knife. I came running I couldn't find my phone.
Michael Herman was in a panic. He's kind of erratic in his demeanor. He has blood on his shirt. He doesn't have his keys. He doesn't have his cell phone.
So is there somebody else inside?
Yes. I think there's
Okay, sir, do me a favor. Do me a favor. Calm down. Calm down. Other than your roommate, is there anybody else inside the house?
I don't know.
So you didn't see anyone? You just heard...
No, I just heard her screaming.
Have
It
you
sounded like she got thrown to the ground. I've been calling for her through his windows. Nobody's answering. Nothing.
They don't know if Michael Herman is a victim, a witness, or a suspect. And then they also have to try to get into the property, which is locked at this point.
So where's your key at?
Inside, downstairs. The back door's open.
Here, come on.
You're good. You're good. You're good. You're good.
Once the police officers jump over the wrought iron fence, they, are guided by Michael Herman to the backyard.
6-8-15 advised the responding units that we had to hop the fence. We're going to be at the rear of the location. Sir, come here. Relax. Take a seat. Take a seat.
Oh my God.
Hey, we need to handle this.
What was going on tonight?
I was asleep. I've been asleep all night.
They are able to see Amy Harwick's body laying on the concrete right below her balcony, and she appears to be unconscious. She's going through seizures.
Hey, we need to. Bro, she's having a seizure. Oh, Jesus.
She's in a situation where they should not move her because it appears that she may have suffered neck injuries.
Stay here. Listen to me. You need to relax. Okay, you're escalating the situation and you're making it worse for everybody. You need to calm down.
Okay.
They don't know if she did that to herself. They don't know if Michael Herman did it. They don't know if another suspect did it. They actually don't even know whether the suspect's still inside the house.
Do you know if there's anybody else inside the house?
I don't. Oh my God. What happened to you?
So their next step is to secure the location and go into the house and check to see if the suspect is still there.
Anyone else inside? This is the LAPD. Come out with your hands up. Hey, somebody pat him down, please.
Hey, stand up.
He might be a suspect because he's got blood on him.
Probably on my couch.
Anyone else inside? This is the LAPD. Come out with your hands up. Got you. Podcast, do you see our light?
No. Right here. Okay, yeah, I see it.
Yeah, this bathroom goes to the master.
Okay,
All right, so you guys can move up in unison.
Yeah.
Ready? On you guys. Just hold it. They're gonna move up in unison. You're good, Pascal. Whenever you guys are ready, go ahead.
Go.
Go, Pascal.
Alright, so
I got an open room. There's a balcony to the top.
Alright.
Got couches. Looks like a kitchen to the right.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I'm gonna turn right. Partner, you come with me.
As we went through her house, everything was very clean, spotless, except one thing, which was her bed. The bed sheets and the blanket were kind of thrown back.
It's sticky. Beads. This is urine.
There's urine, but none of the bathroom.
There was a pool of urine, which is indicative of her being probably strangled in that location and losing control of herself.
On the balcony outside her bedroom was a syringe that was on the ground of the balcony that was loaded with a yellow-brown substance.
Law enforcement doesn't really know what to make of it when they first encounter it. They think it's drugs of some sort, heroin, maybe methamphetamine.
So there's a loaded syringe on this right here. A loaded syringe. So, sir, do you know her history of drug use?
She's sober. She doesn't drink it. She didn't even drink.
She doesn't drink.
She doesn't even drink. She's sober.
So nobody in this house is doing drugs?
I smoke pot and stuff, yeah.
Okay, what do you mean and stuff?
Well, I smoke pot.
That's it?
Shrooms every now and then. Yeah.
Okay, so she's sober completely?
She's sober completely.
How sure of that are you?
I'm positive. I'm absolutely sure.
What do you think, dude?
I don't know, dude. Something's off. Dude, that rig is loaded completely.
Yes, it hasn't been used yet.
It hasn't been used. Hey, can I see your hands?
That's where I poked it on the climbing over the fence.
Oh, okay, got it.
He had scratched himself. The officers were a little suspicious of that, if his story, was true, or did he get that during an altercation?
What about this one here?
I don't know what that is. I guess from the fence too.
Can you pull your sleeve back on this one right here? Oh no, on this one right here. This one. Can you flip it for me? Do me a favor, look up. Can you pull your shirt down a little bit?
Sure.
It's really like shady.
This whole thing's very weird.
And then did you see that? How it's wrapped around them? It's weird.
It's about 20 or so feet from that balcony, and you would land on concrete. Amy Harwick suffered some serious injuries after being thrown over the balcony, including laceration of her liver, brain damage.
You know, it's my sincere hope that by the time she was thrown off that balcony that she was in fact unconscious.
Very weak, almost non-existent pulse. Okay, they're gonna take her to Cedars. I got an officer riding with her just in case she does come to and have anything to say.
She was still barely alive and was transported to the hospital. Worked on her at the hospital and pronounced her dead there.
Breaking news, horror in the Hollywood Hills.
The shocking death over the weekend of Amy Harwick.
Killed at her Hollywood Hills home.
Hi, this is Dr. Amy Harwick.
Amy was well known across Los Angeles for her work as a sex therapist.
What does it mean to be a sex therapist?
So I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and after that I went to school and got an additional degree in sexuality.
Once a go-go dancer herself, Amy had earned a PhD and focused on helping women in the adult entertainment business.
Hi, this is Dr. Amy Harwick. I'm going to be going over what anxiety is, how it presents differently, how this may affect sex workers or people that work in the adult industry.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh, thanks so much.
Her support really was the glue for so much of our community. Her life's purpose was to help people. I thought, you know, how is this possible? I was devastated, to say the least.
Amy Harwick was my best friend, and anyone she met was instantly captivated by both her charm, her beauty, and just her kind of intense way of talking to people.
How anxiety can impact somebody who is a sex worker or specifically.
She had a lot of friends that were very, very shaken and upset, saddened by this, including Drew Carey.
Here's your host, Drew Carey.
For more than a year, Amy had been engaged to marry Drew Carey, who brought her on his game show program on Valentine's Day 2018, 2 years to the day before she was killed.
I'd like to introduce you to my brand new lovely fiance, Amy. How you doing, Amy?
Even though we broke up the engagement, I was still so in love with her and she loved me back.
Carey gave an emotional tribute to Amy on his weekly music podcast.
I could never hear these songs again without thinking of her. So, this next set is for Amy Harwick, a beautiful person who didn't deserve to die like she did. And I loved her very much.
Homicide detectives had worked through the night.
We had this witness, Michael Herman. We had him transported to Hollywood Station. We were still trying to figure out what we had. We didn't know for sure. Can you remember? Do you still hear screaming?
I still heard screaming when I was
still hearing
leaving.
screaming. Now, and when we were at the house, you also
Because that was when I was yelling, because when I was leaving, I yelled up there, "Hey, mother!" really loud, because I wanted her to think I was coming upstairs, so maybe he'd like stop and run. You know, that
you would know that he's not in the house alone. With two of them.
Right,
yeah.
right. And I didn't know if it was like, you know, I didn't know if it was multiple people. I just didn't know. And I just hope that would like that would make the person flee.
Right. We still have people at the house at the crime scene, and we start pulling video from a neighbor's house. They have like a Ring camera system.
One video showed Michael Herman trying to wake up neighbors, as he said he did, to get help.
It becomes apparent that, you know, Michael Herman was merely a witness to this incident.
Now this is kind of strange, but can you yell? Like what did it sound like to you?
You know, like...
Okay. Just a panic yell.
Yeah.
She didn't say like stop, don't.
No.
She didn't yell a name. Nothing.
No.
But other cameras gave a glimpse of someone else who was a likely suspect.
And we can see this male hopping fences and running through the backyards.
He's wearing gloves. He's wearing a jacket. He then takes his gloved hand and covers each camera for about 10 seconds to stop the motion activation. I mean, I didn't even know that you could do that, but he's someone that did.
The timestamp shows 8:53 p.m., about 4 hours before Amy was attacked.
And it also shows him fleeing right around the time that Amy was thrown from the balconies.
You know, we still had all the crime scene work to process and get through. What was the point of entry into her house? There was some broken glass at some French doors where we were able to recover some blood. And so we'd had this story and this video, and we could see that the house was broken into.
Detectives were still trying to figure out what to make of that syringe found on Amy's balcony.
After a lot of testing, and we learned that the syringe was loaded with nicotine, almost pure nicotine, which was a very deadly poison. And I think he was going to inject her with that syringe of nicotine and kill her. I think what happened is she walks into her bedroom, and I think she got into that room, got to about the foot of her bed, and realized, hey, there's somebody in the bed. I think she throws her phone at him. I believe she turns and runs, trying to escape, and he jumps out of the bed, and he's right behind her. One of the things she was wearing was a black leather jacket and a couple of necklaces that had beads. They may have even been a rosary that she was wearing. We find the remains of these necklaces and these beads that are scattered all over the place. One of the arms of the jacket is inside out. So I think he grabs her, the struggle begins. At that point is where he begins choking her until she's unconscious. I think he picks her up, goes to her bedroom, to the French doors, opens the French doors, and then just drops her off over the end of the balcony.
They asked me just a lot about who might do something like this, and so I told them right away that I thought it was Gareth.
Here he is, one more time for Gareth, everybody, come on. Hello, everybody.
The XBiz Awards, as we learned, are adult entertainment awards. It's like a gala event. They have a red carpet.
Because of her work in the adult film world, Amy Harwick had been invited to attend the XBiz Awards and walk the red carpet.
The red carpet was at the end of January, and she was killed in February. We have pictures of her on the red carpet, and she was really looking forward to this red carpet. You know, she liked to dress up and she liked to be photographed, and so it was a big thing for her.
Until she spotted this man.
Gareth Pursehouse was at this red carpet event as a photographer, as an ex-boyfriend and a stalker from the past.
She always thought he was somewhere, but she, up until January of 2020, had not seen him since 2012.
She notices him, she tries to ignore him or not pay any attention to him.
He saw her and then kind of like had a meltdown, started yelling at her.
Gareth tells her, you ruined my life. I haven't been able to move on.
He started hyperventilating, started getting angry, and he also was on the floor crying. And she tried to appease him at that point by talking to him.
She was trying to be cool, professional, and just tried to explain to him, that, hey, we both have to move on with our lives.
A few hours after her interaction with Gareth Pursehouse, she wrote an email to herself documenting what had occurred with Gareth Pursehouse.
She was extremely worried about him, was afraid for her safety. She said, if something happens to me, it's him. If I disappear or something happens, it's Gareth.
The very next day, he contacts Amy by phone, where he's kind of crying, telling her, I need to talk to you.
I have so much I need to say. Please give me a chance to just say it so I can accept it, please. Please.
He texts her again. and again, and again.
And then finally, she told him, hey, this is over, this is done, you know, I'm not doing this anymore, and actually blocked his phone number so he couldn't reach out to her anymore. And I think that was probably the straw that broke the camel's back. I think that was the triggering event. We do some quick work and we get a photo of Gareth Pursehouse. And after observing the video, we're able to say, hey, this is the one and the same guy.
And they're able to definitively identify who that is on video.
And it also made sense, given what her friends were telling them, that Gareth Pursehouse had caused fear, and Amy feared him.
When they first broke up 8 years earlier, Amy had actually gone to court to get a restraining order against Gareth.
He had been extremely abusive with her. He beat her up, pushed her out of a car on the freeway, and a bunch of things like that.
You get a restraining order, yeah, you want to lay everything out and you want to have a good paper trail. But the bottom line, a piece of paper is not going to save you if the person is intent on doing evil.
Would I imagine him assaulting her? Yes. But murdering her, no.
If this is a guy who, you know, just wants to talk to Amy, you know, why are you gaining entry into her home that way? You likely had to research the area. How do you know that you could access her home through her neighbor's yard? The way he exited the house, he'd had to run by Amy's body that was laying on the ground. And, you know, he didn't stop. He didn't go look for someone for help. He just ran right by her body, someone he allegedly cares and loves. All those actions and all those things I just described goes to show, you know, not only his intent, but his premeditation and deliberation in killing Amy.
By 5 in the afternoon that day, just 16 hours after police were first called, the LAPD had tracked down Gareth Pursehouse and charged him with the murder of Amy Harwick.
He's photographed and he's booked and placed into custody. It's apparent that he received some cuts from breaking into Amy's home, as well as suffered injuries from a struggle that took place between himself and Amy. He has scratches around his arms area, as well as his legs.
Awaiting trial in the Los Angeles County Jail, Pursehouse was focused on using his newfound notoriety to make some money, asking 2 of his friends to find a publisher for the jokes he used in his fledgling career as a stand-up comic.
Yeah, turn those into a book. Try to find a publisher that'll give you money ahead of time for that. Like right now, you know what I mean? Just based on my name because of the media. Like, that could be $1 million. I don't know how it works. But I do have a joke for you. What's the most feminine candy bar?
Huh?
Hershey's.
At least you have your sense of humor. Yeah, you got your sense of humor. You're making the best of it in there.
Yeah. Well, and also people are posting like crazy hate and there's like, why bother?
So you said you're not getting out.
Correct.
Ever. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes.
Okay.
I've seen what's coming at me, and it's not good. I'm not getting out. Super fun.
We're going to Los Angeles now for the first day of the trial of Gareth Pursehouse, charged in the murder of his former girlfriend Amy Harwick, well known in Hollywood as a sex therapist and one-time fiancé of Drew Carey.
Her family was there every single day of trial.
I didn't want him ever feeling comfortable enough to look over his shoulder and not see somebody there for her.
So you prepared to go forward, Mr. Oswald?
Yes.
You may.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Amy Harwick was brave. She wanted to live. She fought to live. The evidence in this case is going to show that Dr. Amy Harwick was murdered by defendant Gareth Pursehouse because he was obsessed with him. She rejected his advances. Not only that, she cut off all contact And to punish her for that, he broke into her house on Valentine's Day. He broke in there with a syringe loaded with a lethal dose of nicotine. She has a home at 2086 Mount Street in the Hollywood Hills. This is a 3D image of what the home looks like. The balcony will be on the 3rd level. That will be her bedroom. The evidence is going to show the defendant panicked at that moment. Took Amy Harwick's debilitated body over to her bedroom balcony, lifted her up over the balcony, and dropped her to her death.
And prosecutor Victor Avila made extensive use of the neighborhood ring cameras.
We'll show the defendant. The defendant will be wearing gloves. Here's a better look at that particular ring video.
And it shows on the ring cameras that he arrives about 4 hours prior to her arriving home and just waits and just waits.
A necessary element to prove a charge of lying in wait, what is called a special circumstance.
The special circumstance was huge. That would mean that the defendant would be subject to a sentence of life without parole.
At the end of this case, people are going to ask you to come back with a verdict of guilty as to the residential burglary, the murder of Amy Harwick, and the special circumstance of laying in wait during the commission of this murder. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Counsel. Mr. Franzel.
Pursehouse was represented by Evan Franzel from the County Public Defender's Office.
The ultimate question that you will be asked to answer is what Gareth Pursehouse intended to do when he broke into her house on the 14th of February in 2020. The evidence will show that he was reacting from within this fog of depression and that he was going to talk to her. That his only intention that night was to speak to her. As Mr. Avila said in his opening argument, there is evidence that Mr. Pursehouse possessed a syringe, brought it from his house, and brought it to Ms. Harwick's house. One reasonable inference of him bringing the syringe to her house and inside of her house is that he intended to kill her. Another reasonable inference is that he brought it intending to kill himself. You're also going to see in this trial this photograph, a photo shoot she did where she's posing here on the balcony. She had a certain comfort level with the balcony railing. One likely scenario for how Ms. Harwick came to rest where she did in the patio is that she comes home, encounters Mr. Pursehouse. In a panic, she runs through her bedroom to her balcony, climbs up and over the railing, attempts to lower herself or climb down, and is unsuccessful and falls.
And the defense lawyer said their expert would testify using a recreation with mannequin dummies how that could have happened.
We'll explain how one of the likely scenarios is that she was gripping the balcony railing with either 1 or 2 feet using the awning to brace her weight and fell from that position. The evidence will show that, yes, Gareth Pursehouse was waiting in her home. He broke into her home. Had he not been there, she wouldn't have died that night. That is not in dispute. He set a chain of actions into motion that led to her death. But the evidence will show that he never intended on killing her. But the evidence will show that he is not guilty of first-degree premeditated murder, and that he is not guilty of the special circumstance of lying in wait. Thank you.
What seemed to be a constant theme in the defense's case is a lot of shifting blame. Shifting blame from himself to Amy, and we saw that constantly throughout the trial.
People call Dr. Hernando Chavez the scammer.
Dr. Chavez had been with Amy at the red carpet event where she ran into Gareth Pursehouse.
As I was walking towards them, the only words I heard was, "You ruined my life, you bitch."
Will you ever see what his demeanor was when he said, "You ruined my life"?
It was hostile and angry and elevated. She told me that she was scared, that she had long felt fear regarding this ex. Yeah.
On cross-examination, Purshouse's lawyer sought to play down what had happened.
Would it be correct to say that you did not hear Mr. Purshouse make a verbal threat of violence towards Ms. Harwick? Is that a correct statement?
I consider the use of the word bitch a verbally threatening statement. So no.
People call Michael Herman to the stand.
Herman was Amy's roommate who called police after hearing her scream.
You didn't check on her?
Dude, I heard screaming. I don't know if that guy...
Could you tell what she was screaming?
It was just blood-curdling, just screams. Like, yeah. I hear what sounded like two people hitting the floor, like somebody taking somebody else down.
So when you hear that sound of, it sounds like someone was taken down, do you hear screaming at the same time?
That's around the time I hear it get muffled.
What does that mean, around that time it gets muffled?
It sounded like her mouth was being covered.
And why would you say that?
Your Honor calls for speculation.
I'll allow it to stay.
Okay. So that's how it sounded to you?
Yeah.
As if someone was covering her mouth?
Yes.
Do you ever yell anything else to either Amy or the person or whoever's up there with her?
Hey, mother.
Well, can you yell it the same way you yelled it that morning?
Probably not, but I can try. I
Go
can
ahead.
yell it. Hey, mother.
What did you believe would happen if you said that?
I thought it would distract him,
Well,
or
say-
the person from her.
Why didn't you go up there and help Amy?
I really was worried that if both of us were going to end up dead and that nobody would know.
After Amy was taken away by the paramedics that day, did you ever see her again?
No.
I have nothing further.
The prosecution used a series of witnesses, the lead detective, the DNA expert, and the medical examiner to build its case that when Amy Harwick fell to her death, it was no accident, as the defense had suggested.
See, we had to counter that to show that his intent was not just to go there to go talk to her. His intent was to go there to kill her.
Now, would you say that strangulation was a contributing factor to the decedent's cause of death?
Yes, that's how I listed as exactly as you stated, contributing factor, evidence of manual strangulation. The evidence that she was in some kind of a fight. She has the injuries of her hands, defensive and offensive or assaultive type of injuries. But most significantly, she had those hemorrhages in those muscles on her neck. And those are consistent with manual strangulation.
People call Robert Koshland to the stand.
All right. The prosecution closed out its case with one of Amy's closest friends.
Do you recognize who's depicted on that photograph?
Yes, I do.
And who is that?
That is Amy Harwick.
And what was Amy Harwick to you back in 2020?
Amy was my best friend.
Did she indicate to you whether she was scared of Garrett Purshouse's?
Yes.
What did she tell you in that regard?
She said to me that if anything happens to me, it would be Garrett that did it.
Did you go into her Gmail account?
I did.
And did you find anything?
Yes, I found an email that she'd written to herself regarding the incident at the Expo Sports.
Is this what you read on the email? Tonight, I felt very scared.
Prosecutor Victor Avila began to read the entire email for some 2 minutes.
And he was breathing heavily and flailing his arms around. He was sobbing. His head was in his hands. He told me that no matter what he did, he couldn't stop obsessing over me. I was very scared. He told me that Kira... Sorry.
I'm going to object to this. Okay, the court's going to grant it. That is the text that you saw?
That is the email I saw.
Okay.
In murder trials, you often don't get to know the victim's state of mind. In this instance, it's almost like she did testify. Really, just how scared she was of the defendant after her encounter with him that night.
The prosecution wrapped up its case without calling her former fiancé, Drew Carey.
He was on our witness list, but we definitely wanted to keep the attention and the focus of the jurors on Amy and the actual murder itself. We didn't want there to be a distraction of the evidence with Amy's past.
Prosecutors now prepared for the possible testimony of Gareth Pursehouse and the experts the defense said would show it was possible Amy fell and was not thrown from her balcony.
We're continuing our coverage in California.
We're going to pivot to a trial now out of Los Angeles where a photographer stands accused
of murdering his ex-girlfriend, Amy Harwick.
The trial was being televised nationally, and Amy's friends and family continued to pack the courtroom, now waiting to hear the defense case.
It's difficult to know what to expect. I wasn't sure what direction they were going to go in.
And whether Pursehouse would take the stand himself after showing little emotion during the prosecution case.
He had a very stoic disposition. He looked down for what appears to be most of the trial.
Defense.
Yes, Your Honor. The defense rests.
A surprise. No Pursehouse testimony. No experts with their scenarios of how Amy fell from the balcony as the defense had promised in its opening statement.
And that just did not hold water. It was not credible. And at a minimum, her body was debilitated to the point that she's not opening doors. She's not climbing over a 3.5-foot railing to try to escape him.
Okay, there it is. Both sides have decided to rest at this point. I know you may be saying, well, why did you make us come in today? We didn't know what was going to happen, so this is where we're at. Both sides have rested.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Morning. Amy Harwick fought to live. But she was up against an opponent, a man who knew that he was much bigger than her, knew he was much stronger than her. Someone that his intent was not only to harm her, but to kill her. Because he feels entitled to her. He goes out of his way to get this pure nicotine. And he picks Valentine's Day. Why did he pick Valentine's Day? Well, Valentine's Day is a day where Amy, who's social, who has friends, would probably be out. The defense during their opening said, well, you're gonna hear from Bob Malik, who places her on these 3D stills holding on to the railing with one foot on the awning, speculating that whatever damage was in that awning, she caused it. He didn't testify. They said they were gonna call him, but they didn't call him. Ladies and gentlemen, Amy Harwick lost her life. She had a life to live. She did all she could. She did everything right. Hold him accountable for all his actions. Don't minimize what he did. Don't ignore everything he did. Thank you.
Ms. Bernstein-Love, are you prepared to go forward?
Yes.
You may.
This case boils down to a very simple question. Why did Gareth Pursehouse go to 2086 Mount Street on February 14th? The answer is clear. He went there because he was desperate to talk to Amy Harwick. Her death was never his goal. Her death would not alleviate his pain. He needed to talk to her. The intensity of his devotion to her was terrifying to him. We agree, Gareth Pursehouse had no business being in her home, but that doesn't mean he is guilty of first-degree murder.
The jury was out for about 2 days.
Deliberations are always the worst. You never know. You never know. I tried not to think of any compromises they may have during deliberation process.
We are on the record in the matter of People versus Gareth Pursehouse. We have all jurors present. Juror number 1, is it correct that the jury has a verdict? You can hand the verdict forms over to the bailiff, please.
It's an incredibly nerve-wracking moment.
All right, Mr. Clerk, if you would read the verdicts onto the record, please.
People of the State of California versus Gareth Pursehouse. That's count 1. We, the jury, the above entitled to action and finding the defendant, Gareth Purcell, guilty of the crime of murder in the first degree. We further find the allegation that Gareth Purcell intentionally killed Amy Harwick by means of lying in wait to be true. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, are these your verdicts? So say you one, so say you all? Yes. Thank you.
I might have been the closest thing to seeing any emotion on him, because it did look like there might have been a little lump in his throat. It definitely, there's a look of fear on him. I think we all cried. Definitely tears all around. There's really no winners and losers. It's just varying degrees of loss.
People call for the first victim impact statement, Tom Harwood.
My name is Tom Harwick. I'm the forever grieving father of my dearly departed daughter, Amy. To the defendant, Amy did not deserve the fate that you forced upon her. I, Amy's family and friends did not deserve the grief you imposed on us. I now wish that your fate will be life imprisonment without any possibility of parole. This will be justice for Amy.
Thank you, sir, and I'm sorry.
You said that Amy ruined your life, Gareth Purcell, but that's not true. You managed to do that all by yourself.
There's some satisfaction that her killer will receive little comforts in his days ahead, but this is still no solace for the people that knew her and loved her. Amy, in all her magnificence, is gone. For me, the scar of her loss will haunt us to our last days. Thank you.
Accordingly, it is a judgment and sentence of this court that the defendant shall be sentenced to a term of life without the possibility of parole.
Whatever love or emotion he had for her, that turned to hate. Amy Harwick's last moments at the hands of Gareth Purcell were full of fear and violence.
It's just such a sad case. You know, Amy clearly is someone who did everything right, and she fell victim to such a brutal murder. You know, being a woman is just such a frightening experience to have someone re-enter your life almost a decade prior and kill you this way. It's incredibly, incredibly horrific.